Somebody once told me that because of the color of my skin and where I grew up,
that I would never be anything.
but I refuse to believe.
I refuse to believe.
I refuse to believe.
But I refuse to believe that I could not achieve.
So I picked up my head and I opened my books.
Walked into the classroom every single day saying,
I am the future.
I am the future.
I am the future.
I
am the future.
I am the future.
I am the future.
I am the future.
I am the future.
I am the future.
That's when I took notice
Of the teacher who cared.
And the business person who shared.
Everything I needed to know about how to dress to impress.
Write my resume.
And pave the way to future success.
Now I'm going to college to be the next.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 14th annual NAF Benefit. Please welcome anchor and senior special correspondent of Fortune, Susie Garib.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to NAF's annual benefit. As you just heard, it's the 14th year that NAF has been doing it. But for me, this is my first time here. I've got to say, I have been so impressed. I'm having a great time. I'm thrilled to be here to celebrate with all of you the incredible work of NAF and its partners that together they have transformed the American high school experience. So this year marks NAF's 35th anniversary, and that's thanks to Sandy Weil. In case you don't know, it was back in 1982 that Sandy came up with this vision of a unique education experience that would prepare students for careers in finance. And like everything that Sandy does, it's been an overwhelming success. And just look at some of these numbers. There are 100,000 students who are enrolled in NAF, and the number is growing. They are in almost 700 academies all across the United States. They study everything from engineering to hospitality and tourism. And if you really know Sandy, he just doesn't stand still, so it continues to innovate and to evolve under his leadership. One person who has also been a big supporter of NAF and Sandy is Ajay Banga. And tonight, he is the Chief Executive Officer and President of MasterCard. And tonight, we have the honor of, and the privilege of honoring him for his outstanding commitment to STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math. And also for his strong belief in creating a diverse workforce, which we know is really important for the future of American competitiveness. And when you look at what Ajay and MasterCard have done, their investment in education is just a great role model for the powerful impact that private and public partnerships can have for young people, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later this evening. The bottom line is that NAF succeeds because of the passion and dedication of all of you in this room and many other people, and to the many educators, business partners, and community volunteers who all work together to, towards some very ambitious goals. And a big part of NAF's success are the students themselves. I had the privilege of meeting a lot of them about an hour or so ago, and they are really impressive. And these students, yes, they are. Absolutely, and they deserve a standing ovation. You're all standing here, but they are at the heart of NAF's mission. So as we begin tonight's program, I'm also very delighted to introduce you to the powerful woman behind NAF's super success. Please welcome the remarkable president of NAF, J.D. Hoy.
Thank you all. I don't know about powerful woman. I am privileged to represent all that Sandy saw. I think it's 37 years ago. He corrected me today. He saw a problem, and when Sandy sees a problem, it's not a problem to watch, it's a problem to solve. And I think today's environment, the economy, the issue of jobs, the disruption in the economy in terms of what you need to know and be able to do to be successful in that economy, it is about finding the magic between what our educators do and do very well, what our employers do and do very well, and finding the magic between them. What I am the proudest of for the young people in this room, because they represent and demonstrate the power that that partnership can bring and offer to young people today a social capital that is going to be necessary to keep the playing field, as Ajay said, level. Enthusiasm is not enough, skills are not enough, access is critical. How you get access is developing relationships, building on relationships, and maintaining relationships. And they are the relationships that will carry you a lifetime for a career and a set of opportunities that we can only begin to imagine. The humility with which Sandy and Ajay come to this passionate relationship of changing lives while doing business is what will make and keep this country cutting edge and a future with access for all of our young people. It is a tribute to you. So you've heard the marketing tagline with MasterCard called Priceless, and I have an announcement that some of you experienced already, but I just want to shout it out. Please give a warm thank you for the contributions offered by David Cohn, and what a remarkable human being. I had the pleasure of hearing him speak to our students before the event began. But understand that this isn't just a baseball player, right? That's pretty awesome, right? But a baseball player with like these incredible, successful things that he's delivered on that most people say, if I do one of these, I'm a rock star. This gentleman actually is a star pitcher. He's worked with the Mets and the Yankees, and I believe you didn't want to talk about one from Canada. Don't go talk about that. And in fact, he five-time World Series. Is that awesome? All-Star, Cy Young Award, and he's pitched a perfect game. Okay, so in every world there are elements of what defines a rock star. This gentleman that I got to listen to isn't just a rock star in his profession and his selection of what he was passionate about. His passion to our students about remembering what Ajay and Sandy represent in terms of remember from whence you came. Remember the hand that helped you get there. And when you too get there, and he looked them, all of them in the eye, right? And said, and you will be there. Remember that and come back. Pay it forward. Reach back. Offer a hand. Because that is what moves countries, communities, and individuals to a better place. This design was a problem that Sandy saw and Sandy solved. So I feel blessed to work with this organization, have students like you in front of us every day, and to acknowledge the fact that Sandy has always reached for the stars, and some of us struggle with that, as he reaches and sets ambitious financial fundraising goals, of which this is part. But he likes to throw a gauntlet down with ridiculous timelines. I need $50 million, and I want it done by the end of the year, and it's November. But to his credit, and to the students and academies in our country's credit, this time, this moment, that gauntlet of $50 million, not by the end of the year, he changed it and said, okay, 50 by June. It's May, and the number is actually $74.5 million. But my institutional advancement staff would say quickly, yeah, well, that doesn't mean I'm giving you all your money back. And it doesn't mean that we're done forever. But it means we have an investment opportunity here to scale what we know works and to get on the page of more schools for more young people to make sure they have access. So, If you want to keep it going, we have, again, a text-to-pledge opportunity. And I think some of the tables have the number, but if you don't have it, all you have to do is text NAF 52426 and click on the provided link to donate via a credit card. Your investment is for young people and the advancement of our work, and I want to start it off by thanking Bob Doogie from our board of directors, who kicked off this round with a $5,000 text to pledge. In the spirit of paying it forward, our alumni, these are students who graduated and are coming back and giving back and paying forward. The alumni group actually has also banded together and have donated $5,750. None of this would be possible without Sandy's leadership, a talented and dedicated staff, a group of committed educators who believe in the power of partnership, and a fundamental belief that together we can do anything, but apart reduces us all. Have a great night. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, JD, for that very inspiring pep talk. And now for something very special for all of you. You know, it's not too often that we get to ask questions of two super successful business leaders and who are happy to share with us in a very direct and intimate and honest way the secrets to their success and the lessons that made them so successful, and you know what they learned along the way, and some things that maybe were kind of hard on that pathway to the top. So I'm very happy to introduce to all of you and welcome into the stage Sandy Weil and Ajay Benga. Sandy, you're going to sit in the middle, and Ajay at the end there. I'm going to sit here.
I can't sit over there.
Do you play?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, both of you, for doing this. And let me just start by saying, before we all gathered here, we were in a room with, I don't know how many, maybe 50 students. And I thought they were very sharp. They asked a lot of good questions. What stood out for you, Sandy?
I think what stood out for me is how thoughtful these young people are. And they really have thought out what they want to do next. And they've really, I think, accomplished a lot.
And they're only high school students.
And they're only high school, yes. But I think, in a way, a lot of them are very lucky that they didn't grow up with a silver spoon, and they have the strength and the stick-to-itiveness to get as far as they have so far. And I think most of them really look at change, and we're living in a world that's changing all the time, but they look at change as an opportunity rather than something to be fearful of. So
yeah, it's very impressive, very inspiring. Ajay, what stood out for you? What was your takeaway as you were?
Tough questions. There was this lady who she was the first one. I kind of looked at her and said, I'll get an easy question from her. She had 6 questions ready, and she went like, okay, I'm going to go through the first one. And so what stood out for me was, I guess, one, they are just incredibly inspiring, because they haven't got what I had when I was lucky enough to be growing up, but they're making it for themselves. And all that these kids want, I was talking to a number of them after that, all that they want is a chance to be able to show that they can be as good as any one of us. And I think they deserve that chance. And that kind of is what inspires me about these kids. I found it really good.
You know, a lot of kids today, and not just high school, but college too, they feel like they have to have a plan, where they're going to be, what they're going to do next, and then stick to that plan no matter what. Now, you said that's not the way to go. Tell us why.
Well, I think that you can overplan your career and it doesn't take you anywhere. And I think the right thing to do, for example, if you ask a young kid who's out of college or school, what are you going to be in 10 years? How the heck can they answer you with truth? And yet all our companies, all our interviewers think that's a good question to answer. And it's a stupid, dumb question. because if I knew today what I wanted to be in 10 years, I'd be Sandy, and I'm not. So I wish I knew, but I'm not. So he's an old friend. I can pull his leg.
But I don't know where I want to be in 10 years either.
See, that's the problem.
I want to be you.
Yeah. You can get a beard and a turban, Sandy. I'll give you one.
I'm willing to try.
Well, you know, some of you missed out on this, but Sandy had a great story to these kids when we were talking about planning, and he said that Warren Buffett knew at a very young age that his goal was, I want to be rich. And he succeeded. He's one of the richest men in the world. Sandy is rich too, and he hit all of his goals, but he had a different strategy. You told a very cute story about you and Joan when you were first married, and what was number one on your priority list?
Well, our first goal was to buy a deep fryer.
And the second goal was?
It really is true. And
But I have a point to make there. You can see Sandy and Joan. That deep fryer was not for Joan, it was for Sandy. I just want to be clear.
that's true.
Yeah.
But I couldn't afford to change the oil, so you.
But you got to hear what the second goal was after you got the deep fryer.
Our next goal in life was to be able to buy a Kodak slide projector, which is, for those of you that don't know, it's the equivalent of the old days of an iPhone. And you know, and basically that's the way we run our life. We've looked and set out goals that were achievable, and as we got near achieving that goal, we moved out the goalpost, and we moved out the goalpost, and we moved out the goalpost. And now, 62 years later, we're still moving out the goalpost, and it is one hell of a lot of fun.
What I want to ask you, though, Sandy, and actually what's interesting about you two guys, you have known each other for a really long time. Actually, Sandy recruited Ajay to Citigroup, for those of you who don't know that, and you worked together for many years, but you have very different backgrounds. Ajay, you grew up in India. You did all of your schooling and advanced learning, everything in India. You're a Brooklyn boy. You went to Cornell University. You're a product of American education system, but you have some very similar ideas. And what I want to find out from both of you is, what was it in your growing up years that you think this way? I mean, what was the most important lesson that you learned that set you on the right path for success?
Well, you know, I wasn't...
The most important thing. Don't give the long list.
Okay. Okay.
They said we only have 20 minutes for this conversation.
Okay. That's why I'm trying to drag it out. But basically, I think the thing that was best for me, because I was a very poor student, and my parents moved back to New York after World War II, and there was a shortage of housing, so they sent me away to military school for a year, and then hopefully they would have a house. But I really flourished in that environment and learned how to take discipline before I became a disciplinarian. And I really learned, I think, more about what has helped me in later life in that 4 years of a military school education than I learned in college. College, I learned about women.
Joan didn't hear that. She didn't hear that. She's not paying attention to you. She's heard this story earlier.
But basically, the smartest thing I did, and advice I would give to anybody here, is before you get married, pick the right person, because if you don't make a mistake on that first one, you are much better off. And Joni and I are going to be married 62 years in June.
I heard you.
Joan said maybe. We've done all 62 of the years a day at a time. But I've learned that the best way to really have a relationship with a great woman, and she's really made my life really phenomenal and been very important to my success, is 2 words: yes, dear. And Ajay has had the same kind of luck.
I'm saying yes, dear, to him, let alone to my wife.
Oh my!
Here, all these kids came looking for some real pearls of wisdom, and you're giving marital advice. But anyway, Ajay, for you, really different life experience. You came to the United States when you were really a fully grown adult and already in the executive ranks. But what did your parents teach you? What did your teachers teach you? What did you learn back in India that made you so successful today?
Oh, I don't know about the successful and connection, but I do remember one clear aspect of growing up with my father. My father was in the Indian Army, and he was successful. He was a 3-star general, and by the time he retired, and I remember right from my childhood that he could speak to the guard at our gate with the same intensity of interest as he spoke to a visiting dignitary. And I'll never forget that. I see it in him. I was describing the story outside that Sandy would care about you no matter who you were. And my dad had that. And I think this concept of caring about people with the humility to realize that everybody can help you learn about something that you don't know for yourself is kind of what I feel really good about. And that I got from my dad.
That's great. That's great.
And I'd like to add to what you say, Ajay, in that I'm not a believer in decks. I'm a believer in people understanding about what they are working on so that they can explain it, not reading speeches, but talking from the heart. And I've been sort of very lucky in that our company at its biggest point when I was there, we had about 240,000 employees in over 100 countries. And I was a person that didn't know how to use a computer, and I still don't. I didn't know how to send email, which saved our company billions of dollars. But I did know.
That's true.
I did know how to walk around, and I knew tens of thousands of people in the company, really. I knew their families, and my wife knew their families. We included spouses in planning what the company was going to do, so that we had 2 people that supported what the person that was working with us knew and was doing, because we were in a stressful business. And when the person came home, whether it was a he or a she from our company, the other partner understood what was happening. And we built something, and I knew what was going on in that business without having all the tools that make it so efficient today.
Well, now that you bring up the part about the computer, I just want to share with everybody, when we were talking to the students earlier, both of these guys said the importance of technology. Sandy said everybody should know how to code. And he didn't know how to use a computer, do an email, but everybody should know how to code. And Ajay said that everyone should learn about technology and get comfortable with it early on. But you guys know that a lot of kids today say, I'm not good at math, I'm not good at science. And so teachers and parents say, okay, how about history, how about music, how about something else? What, if this is so important, science, technology, engineering, and math, what do parents and teachers and students have to do to make it, as you said, it's your friend? You said technology is your friend.
Well, I think, first of all, I don't think that technology is something that you should think of only as STEM. I believe that if you're in HR and you don't really use STEM every day, technology is going to embrace you and change your life in ways that are unimaginable over the next decade. Whether you're in finance, you're in HR, you're in operations, you're in good old-fashioned ONT, technology is both your friend and your tool of capability. So I think you've got to be very careful of that. The second thing is, you talked about teachers and students, didn't mention principals. And I was saying this to a few kids outside. My opinion is that the schooling system doesn't pay enough attention to the quality of the leader of the school. In companies, we pay a lot of attention to the quality of the leader of the company to say that that leader makes a difference. In countries, we pay attention, although we make mistakes with our voting sometimes. But we pay attention to the quality of the leader of a country. But in schools, for some reason, the principal is never talked about. And I find that a really strange thing to do. I think the leader of a school can transform the way that kids embrace technology and embrace change and embrace challenge if we were to invest in the leader of the school in the right way.
Anything you want to add to that, Sandy? Any advice you have on this?
I think Ajay is absolutely dead right about leadership is really very important. I think as you think about things, you should think who wants to follow a negative person like nobody. So figure out a way to always be positive, but realistically positive. People like to follow people that are positive, and really I think it's embrace change, because use change as your ally rather than, as I said before, being fearful of it. And really ethics and areas like that are very, very important. Tell the truth. It's the easiest thing to remember. And if you make a mistake, don't cover it up, because the cover-up is always
very hard.
worse
Yeah.
than the accident that happened. Just ask Richard Nixon if he still was able to tell you. And really, I think the opportunity for everybody in this country, this is a great time to be living. And great things are going to happen. And you guys are going to be the people that lead this country. So don't be afraid about picking up the challenge and learning things and continue to learn things and become the leaders of the future, because it's really up to you. And that's why we spend so much time training you and with this program, because you know, we do not have the people that are educated for our jobs. But as we embrace technology, let's not make technology so smart that they will throw us out of all our new engineering jobs that we got through technology.
Well, you know, you're talking about education. Now, most of the kids here are about to graduate from high school, so high school is taken care of. But in this changing workplace, things are happening so fast. What's the basic education you need? They've got high school, but what about college? What about graduate school? What about MBAs and all of that? I mean, we see so many success stories. Mark Zuckerberg dropped out and is a gazillionaire. Bill Gates, the same story. But what's your advice on what's the basic amount of education you really need to be competitive and successful in this marketplace? Ajay?
So I think for every Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg that dropped out of college, you don't hear about the 99,000 others who are hanging around doing nothing. So I wouldn't go by that. I just wouldn't. I think an education is what allows you to feel proud of what you're doing and who you are, and to discover what's inside you. So I would never take an education away from anybody. But what I am saying is that I'm not sure that everybody's going to make their own choices. An MBA, a PhD, a master's in engineering, a college degree, vocational school. I just don't know that the right answer is that everybody needs to go to college, or that everybody needs an MBA, or that everybody needs to become a lawyer, God forbid, for those of you who are lawyers in this room. I apologize in advance, but you know, I live in a company where I deal with litigation all day long, and I hate the whole lot. So that's a different topic. But if you were to think about what you need, I'll give you an example. What's the biggest gap in terms of skill sets I would like to be able to fill in the next 5 years in my company? Cybersecurity professionals. I don't need an engineering master's for cybersecurity professionals. A kid out of high school who has 2 years in a good technical training institute with comprehension, like a young man I met here today who gets programming and gets information technology and who understands hacking and understands software and is willing to go work for 2 years with, say, a government organization like the NSA or the CIA, not the Department of Homeland Security, because they think I'm Osama bin Laden, they don't know anything. Right? So that's bad guys. But if you go work for the CIA or the NSA and you actually learn something, and then after 2-3 years, you're willing to come to work for someone like me, I'll waive your student loans. I'll waive your student loans. And that, to me, is how business and the public sector can get together to make a difference for these kids who I think are our future and have the ability to transform the lives of my kids as well as their own. That's what I'm talking about.
Let's hear, Sandy, what you think. High school education enough if you're really savvy, like what this kid that Ajay met?
Well, I think it all depends. I'd like to say that really, I've been around a long time, but I'm continuing to learn. And Joan and I flew out to California the day that Mark Zuckerberg was going to announce a $3 billion gift for basic science. And I had never witnessed somebody giving away $3 billion at one time. And so we decided to go. And we heard him, he and his wife, talking about how they hope to control or eradicate all disease with the starting $3 billion by the end of the century. Well, I've never thought that big. So this guy's 32 years old. I'm learning from him. He's getting me to change my whole thinking. He also is interested in high school education, like everybody is here. So I've been talking to him about, and he has a program where he has 16 of his engineers from Facebook working on writing new algorithms as to change the method of teaching in our high schools, where we would teach individual students and teach to everybody go at their own pace, so that people that are really, really bright could move ahead very, very fast, and people that are slower can move at the pace that they want to, and not teaching to the lowest common denominator. So while before I met him, we were thinking about, geez, wouldn't it be great over the next 5 years that we could raise the money that that JD was talking about, and we can grow NAF from 100,000 students that we have today to 125,000 students, and have a better quality control and have more people, the great percentage of our people, getting summer internships. After meeting him, I've changed my mind, and now I'm thinking about how can we go from 100,000 students, how can we educate 1 million, 2 million, 5 million students, and really make a difference. And I think that's our objective.
So think big,
Pretty
dream
cool.
big. That's a great lesson. You know, Ajay,
And I don't have to the end of this century to do it, so.
did you hear that,
Meanwhile,
JD?
JD has a monumental headache right now. That's it.
You know, Ajay, you were talking about you have 300,000 applications every year, and you just take a small percentage of it. And you were also just talking, I would hire a kid who could do X, Y, Z. A lot of the kids here, now they've mastered to finishing high school, but they've got to get a job. And many of them are ill-prepared for going on those job interviews and are all thumbs. What is the question you always ask in a job interview? And what's the answer that lands the job?
So there's actually not a single question I ask, but I do spend a lot of time getting to understand a person's background and family. I look for people who find that they need what they're going to come and do with me. I want people who need things. I want people who will be hungry for the opportunity, so long as they get a level playing field, which I promise them they will get. As far as I'm concerned, just imagine, if you look the way I look and you run a big American company of a fairly large size, which has done well over the last few years, the one thing I truly believe in, I don't care where you came from, I don't care what you look like. I really care what you do and how you do it. That's all I care about. That I will explore in the interview. And if you don't give me the right answers on your experiences and what to do and how to do, there is no way I'm going to hire you.
Sandy, what about you? I'm sure you interviewed a lot of people, not just the executive level, but on all levels. What's the one question, your favorite one question in a job interview, and then what's the answer?
Let me tell you, let me talk about.
Oh, you need your microphone.
No, let me talk about hiring people at a relatively high level from the outside. What I like to do is invite meet the person with their spouse and have my wife come along with me. And when we're talking about things, I'm trying to sell this person to come work for us and not really paying attention to the things I should pay attention to. Joan's a very good listener, so I find out, when we go home, whether this person was any good or not any good. And let me tell you, it works 99% of the time. It's really important, as Ajay mentioned, to get to know a family. And I think that a company whether you have 4 people or 400,000. The better you can create a family feeling kind of environment, the better that company's going to do. The better you create a feeling of teamwork and that teams win, and this is not a star system, that company will do better.
We are now, we have run out of time, but I just want to ask one last question to wrap it up. And I know that a lot of the people who are here, these kids, dream that one day they will be successful like both of you. And you know, it's not only because you run successful companies, but you've had a very positive impact in your communities. So if you could just give one piece of advice to these young kids about, in just a few words, what would it be? What's your best advice to these young adults?
I would say that don't just think about the business, but think about how you can use your brain power that is really making you a good person in the business you're doing and successful in the business. Think about your community from the very, very beginning. Think about how you can be philanthropic, which is not about giving money, but it's about giving of your brains and your leadership and making the community a better place. And that will help your standing in the company. It will help the respect that your fellow workers have for you, and it will really make a difference. And as you grow, continue to do that, because companies should use their strength to help make the communities better. Our country, the federal government has no money, the states have no money, the cities have no money. As a matter of fact, we've promised more things than we'll ever have the money for. So it's really important that we have public-private partnerships where the private sector works along with the public sector and really holds, when you contribute your time and your money, you're going to hold the people that you're working with to a higher standard than they used to. And that's going to end up creating a much better environment and much better performance.
Very, very interesting, very interesting. Ajay, you've had a little time to think while Sandy was talking.
I'll tell you what I've been saying inside the company for a little while. Everybody's heard about IQ and EQ. I talk about DQ, and DQ is not Warren Buffett's ice cream. DQ is what I call decency quotient. And what do I mean by decency quotient? I mean all the things Sandy just said. I just think it's a way for people to understand that you have to be able to go to sleep at night knowing that you were a good person that day, you did the best you could do, and you dealt with people with fairness and with decency. I think our decency quotient defines the status of our civilization. And I'm a little concerned about decency quotient in different parts of our system. But DQ really, really matters. So if you're young and you're growing up in this country, you're lucky enough to be here, it's the best country in the world to be. You should know that your DQ will determine how well you do in your life, not your IQ or your EQ.
And let me just... Let me just sum up that your DQ would have improved a lot if you were a shareholder of Ajay's company over the last 8 years, because you would be up 10 times on your money, and that is a hell of a lot better than what Warren Buffett has ever done. And Sandy.
Thank you so much, Sandy and Ajay. Let's give them a hand.
I love it.
Thank you so much. You guys, you were fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, we're not done yet. Don't go away. Hold on. Come back. All right, there's still some goodies to come. May I have your attention, please? Our next speaker is an entrepreneur and a CEO, a chief executive officer. But here's the news flash. He's only a senior in high school in Florida. But I got to tell you, I interview a lot of people, Fortune 500 CEOs, like Sandy Weil, and a lot of entrepreneurs, and this kid has the passion and creativity of a lot of those people I interview. So I know you're going to be impressed to hear his story and how he developed a website and an app that's getting a lot of attention. Please welcome Kareem Oliver. Kareem?
How's everyone doing? My name is Kareem Oliver. I'm a senior in the Academy of Finance at Coral Gables Senior High School in Coral Gables, Florida. I would say thank you to NAF for giving me this opportunity to speak to you all tonight. And I would also like to thank all the educators, family, and friends who have helped me on my journey thus far. I was raised by a single mother who had little college education, but still had to provide for both me and my brother. Growing up, I was very unsure of what the future may hold, but I wanted to do something fascinating in my life and something that would help my community. From a very young age, I had a special love and connection for animals. But when my family moved into a new apartment and the landlord my family moved into a new apartment, but my landlord didn't allow any pets. This led me to thinking of ways on how I can actually own pets. So in 2007, I began volunteering for a local PetSmart adoption center. At the time, I was just 7 years old, and because of my age, I was not able to volunteer without parent supervision. And my mom would literally wait in the parking lot every single Saturday so that I would be able to volunteer. Thank you. I worked hard, and eventually I became the youth volunteer coordinator. This position allowed me to recruit new volunteers and teach them how to care and adopt out pets to forever homes. When it came time for high school, I got accepted into each magnet school I applied to, but I wasn't sure on how I could actually integrate my love for animals with my education and career. I ultimately chose Coral Gables Senior High for its NAF Academy of Finance. As a freshman, I was a bit shy, but it wasn't until my sophomore year where I began to actually start utilizing the opportunities provided by NAF. On a recommendation from a friend, I entered a dual enrollment entrepreneurship course that was linked with Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. In this class, I was asked to think of a problem that I wanted to solve, and quickly I thought of helping lost pets. And with the class, I created a business plan outlining my idea. My business is called Finder Found, which is a smartphone application and a website that helps pet owners find lost pets. Owners can search through lost pet postings from different sources on our platform, and owners can receive GPS notifications of their pet's exact location. Finder Found won first place in 2 business plan competitions, winning a total of $8,000 in seed capital, and I'm excited to continue developing it. Working on my business plan has taught me so much and made me much more interested in learning about business. The support of everyone in my academy prepared me to pursue entrepreneurship and broaden my skill set. In my junior year, my NAF teacher and mentor, Ms. Carranza, recruited KPMG employees to help our academy prepare for internships by conducting individual mock interviews. That helped me get accepted into a month-long Bankers Camp internship program, which I was placed at Biscayne Bank. In this position, I was able to experience both sides of the bank, from corporate to branch. Throughout the program, I received American Bankers Association Teller Certificate after taking classes at Miami-Dade College, where bankers served as college professors. As a senior, I became the vice president of the Academy of Finance. I completed team and individual culminating projects that showed my understanding of the NAF courses, and I'm also so proud to see how far I've come today. In fall, I'll be attending Florida International University. Thank you. I plan to pursue my degree in business administration with a concentration in My goal is to use these skills to build a business to employ the members of my community and teach them skills like leadership, responsibility, hard work, dedication, and helping others. I would not be able to stand here in front of you if it wasn't for the NAF Academy. Our teachers, advisory board members, and business partners are incredibly supportive of my classmates and me. They believe in us, mentor us, give us the guidance, and give us the confidence we need to uncover our talents. I'm excited for college and to build my career. I can't wait for the amazing things my peers will do with the education and opportunities provided by NAF. Because of NAF, I know my future is ready. Thank you. Now I have the honor of presenting the Innovator Award to the STEM education to someone who has inspired many students, including me. Please welcome Ajay Banga to the stage. I'm so happy to be here tonight and to have you all to be a part of the journey. If you would like to invest in the future of NAF students, please text NAF to 52426 to donate. Any amount would mean so much. Thank you and good night.
All I can say is, wow, wow, wow. This is what NAF is all about. And as Kareem said, we invite you to text to donate. This concludes our program. Please be generous in your contributions because your contributions go towards making young men and women like Kareem do amazing things, and we all will benefit from it. Enjoy the rest of this wonderful evening, and I hope to see all of you again next year. Good night.